My name is Keymis, and I'm from Limburg, which is in the east part of Belgium. And unlike most of you, I took both the TOEFL and the IELTS, so the IELTS test. And I would like to share that experience with all of you, and maybe you can learn something from it. So I would like to talk first about the preparation. First about the registration, then the preparation, then the test itself, and then finally the results. And all of them are slightly different. The experience is slightly different for both of the systems. So as far as the registration is concerned, in TOEFL I thought it was very modern, and it's fully online. It's on the internet, so it's as simple as making an account and signing up and paying, and everything is online, and it's very efficient and quick. Whereas the IELTS is much more quaint. So it's a paper form, 2 pages, 3 pages, which you have to fill in manually. You can't scan it, you can't use email, you have to post it with snail mail. You have to add 2 passport photos, so it's all almost bygone era style. So I would say TOEFL there is much more practical than IELTS. As far as venues are concerned, then TOEFL does not score very well here in Brussels, since there's only one venue and it's always overbooked, so it takes you at least 2 or 3 months to get in. And the next nearest venue is in Arnhem, so that's about 2 hours drive. Then as far as IELTS is concerned, it's in the British Council, and it's once per month, and usually it's not booked. So I had my the first session that was available, I could participate in that session. So that's another advantage if you want to do it physically here in Brussels, if you don't want to move around to another country. As far as the test itself is concerned, or the preparation for the test maybe. Yes, so TOEFL is, the material to prepare yourself for TOEFL is much more, is almost omnipresent. I found some very decent preparatory books, not only at the Fulbright Commission, but also in the public library, including tons of mock exams, which completely mimic the real exams with solutions and everything. Whereas IELTS I only found at Fulbright. I didn't find them in the public library, so the availability there was more difficult. They were more difficult to get by. For both of them, I would really suggest that you check the preparatory materials. So as they call them, the leaflets. Both of them have kind of leaflets which explain the way the exam works. And these are very important because they really they put you at ease once you're in front of the exam. So I would really recommend reading those. So even if you don't really prepare your English, that at least you prepare the way you have to take your exam, and that could also help you a lot. So as far as then the format is concerned, so the test itself, well, in TOEFL it's automated, it's fully automated. So you arrive and people welcome you, and there is water for sale, which was not the case at the IELTS test. It's just a small detail. And then you get your own PC, and everything goes automatically from there. So it's smooth and it's very organized, it's very pre-programmed. The disadvantage of that is that also that they have flexible starting times, or at least in my case, they had flexible starting times. And so one of you might be finished 20 minutes earlier with one part of the test, and then somebody else might lag behind for 20 minutes. And once the speaking section starts, that can really mess up your concentration. So there's one slight disadvantage there. You do have decent headsets, but still you can't tune out all the chatter of the other people. Whereas IELTS, you have really a classroom setting. It's also much more traditional in that regard. So you have 4 or 5 attendants surveying the room. You have also, again, pen and paper. This is a complete pen and paper test. You have that in front of you, and everybody follows the same pace. So the sections reading, writing, and then listening, these sections are well, quite rigidly set. The biggest difference is in the speaking section. So in TOEFL, you have to speak towards to your computer basically, and it's 6 segments, if I'm not mistaken, of 45 seconds to 1.5 minutes. Whereas in IELTS you have a real life person in front of you, and its duration is about 10 minutes. But it's also very strictly controlled in IELTS, so it's not an informal chat. It's not free flow. It's really, you have to say what they want to hear, and you have to follow their topics. But for me, it was much easier to at least have a longer period, to have direct feedback of the person in front of you. For example, at one point I still had, I think, 30 seconds left, and she was really motioning, okay, keep on talking, keep on talking. Whereas in TOEFL, it's the opposite. It's really frustrating, because there you have 45 seconds, 1.5 minutes, and you feel cut off, you feel harrowed, you feel really stressed, because they also, ideally in their preparation materials, ask for a nice brief introduction, a middle, and an end, and you all have to jam it in those 45 seconds, and you have 15 or 30 seconds preparatory time. So that's, for me, it was a more stressful experience. But I will come back to that later. As far as quotation of these two bits are concerned, there's not such a big difference. So it's not that TOEFL is really strict and they will say, okay, you didn't finish your ending, or you got cut off by the recorder, so we'll subtract some points. It's not the case. So I was worried about that, because I messed up the 2 segments purely out of nerves, and they didn't really penalize me for that. So that was a good thing. Just maybe also to mention that in TOEFL, lots of it is multiple choice, except for the writing section. And in the IELTS, you have to write, even when you're listening. Also when you're reading, you have to write. So they have the system of answer sheets with 1 to 3 words, and you have to write these words. So it's also, okay, it's not, maybe not very advanced, but be aware that if you're listening, then you're supposed to write the word you just listened to, the answer, also correctly, because you'll also be penalized if your spelling there is wrong. So that's also a difference, where in TOEFL you can just choose, and there you actually also have to be conscious that even these 1 or 3 word answers are correct. And then finally, you have the results. And there was one, both in TOEFL and in the IELTS, they're posted online. IELTS only temporarily for, I think, 2 weeks. So they post it after 2 weeks, and it stays online for about 2 weeks. TOEFL, I hope, more or less indefinite. And then they should send you the certificate, and they should send the certificate to all the universities you indicated when you signed up. So maybe summing up, I'd say that TOEFL is much more organized and streamlined and a bit more modern, but also maybe a bit more impersonal. And if something goes wrong, I think you're a very small cog in a very big machinery. So it's hard to find out where it went wrong. Where the IELTS, British Council, is much more personalized service, old-fashioned, bit quaint, but on the other hand also much more personalized, much more interactive, let's say, where TOEFL is almost completely automated. For me, and as far as scoring is concerned, both systems are really